In contemporary life, everything that we do that intersects with the network is recorded at some point in time. It's recorded on your laptop. Every time you send something out to a website, whether it be an email or an instant message, passes through multiple machines. Any of those machines can stop. Any of those machines can read it if it's not encrypted. And in fact, in 2006, the NSA set up a listening station in AT&T headquarters in San Francisco, and that's exactly what they did. They listened to a wide range of traffic. Now, this is not something new for the government, but the method was new. In the past, when the government wanted to listen, they had to know who they were listening to, they had to know what they were listening for, they had to have a real sort of sense for what they were going after. But this project was so completely different in the fact that it listened to all of the traffic that came across it. And it wasn't listening for a specific thing, but maybe for a pattern. Now this comes back to a quote by Cardinal Richelieu, which I'm going to paraphrase, which is essentially, have any man write 6 sentences on a piece of paper, and I'll find a reason to hang that person based on those words. If you are scrutinized enough in the public, we break enough laws in the living of our lives. In fact, no one understands the whole codex of the legal system anymore, not even judges and lawyers. To the point of if a computer is assigning you the laws that you've broken, there's a problem. It's much more precise. It's much more granular. Along these lines, and in a similar timeline, the FBI created a project tentatively called Carnivore, which was set up to be put on an individual network. So this is like a box that would be plugged into, say, the network servers at SJSU, and would start listening to that traffic. This inspired a group of artists, being led by Alexander Galloway, to create a personal edition. Now, the Carnivore PE is a piece of software that runs based on a network sniffer. And in an open network, like say wireless network, where traffic is passed to every machine regardless of its destination, it is possible to listen in on the traffic. So here we see an example of what network traffic might look like. And you see that there's like a lot of text here. There's a lot of stuff that's being passed around that we don't see. But in addition to that, we see that everything that's going to every destination along the way is visible. Now moving on, this is a visualization of the same data. Now what's interesting here is that all of the specifics of the data have been filtered away. And in an attempt to make it more aesthetically pleasing and interesting and artistic, you see more like, well, what is it? Is it email? Is it, where is it going? Is it going to AOL? Is it going to the web? Is it an instant message? What sort of traffic is it? And it actually ends up coming out like really quite beautiful. Now, in considering the social network, it's not necessarily about what's personal or what's public and what's private. That's not always what we're talking about when we're talking about like sort of giving away your details. And a group of scientists at MIT decided to look at friend connections very specifically and see what sort of information was being evidenced by them. And they created a project that they tentatively called Gaydar. And what it did was it looked at the relationships between people. And I think that they had 1,300 males in the class of 2007 to 2011, and about a dozen of them had identified their sexuality. So what they did was they looked at all of the connections between these people, they drew them out, and then they trained a computer to recognize the patterns within these 13 people. And then they took and applied it to the rest of the network. And what they were able to do was find that they were able to identify several other gay men in the network. One of the side effects of this is that like every association that you have, whether it's you tend to hang out with people of the same ethnicity, of the same religious background, of the same interests. So needless to say, these things are going to show up in your social network. And when these things are like clearly available, there's no way to sort of like hide it. But the fact of the matter is this happens in real life too. When you look around and you see the cliques that are forming, you make assessments of people based on who it is that they're hanging out with. So just a last thought relating to this is not to say that this is related specifically to the computer, but a hacker at a convention called DEF CON created something that basically started to associate with the cell phone network. And the GSM network, which is a very common network in this country, considers the network to always be trusted. So a handset in GSM, when it finds a network provider, will immediately associate with it, and it will let the network or the access point tell it, well, encryption isn't important. If you turn encryption off, you can listen to it. It'll tell it which frequency to listen to as well.